guys, look at this thing. This has got to be the coolest guitar that I've ever picked up. And I can say, without a shadow of the doubt, it's also probably the biggest guitar that I've ever picked up, because from here to here, like, it's massive. But the sound that this thing has, just the energy that this thing gives off, the aesthetic, just the whole vibe of this guitar, it justifies the just absurdity of all of the whole package put together. So let's see, where do I even start with this? I guess I'll start with a thank you to the guys at Zzounds for sending me this guitar to try out, to take on the stage, and then to bring back here and have a discussion with you guys about it on what I think and what I like, what I don't like, and we'll see where this one goes. I will say that when I opened this thing up, I was not expecting this. I mean, I knew what it looked like, but it's one of those guitars where I don't think that pictures can do it any justice on how cool it looks, in my opinion. I know that looks are very subjective, and I know that this guitar in particularly with this has been fairly polarizing with the Gibson community, and not to try to give this a pass or anything, but I don't see the haters going after the Dave Grohl guitar, which has the exact same non-reverse Firebird headstock. So I have gigged with one of these before. It's not one of these. It was one of the Carina reissues, and it was back in, I think, 2004 or 2003. It was a buddy of mine in college. He had one, and he had gotten it from his uncle, and it was just the normal Explorer headstock. And I remember three things about that guitar in particular. A, it sounded absolutely incredible. B, it felt extremely good to play despite the absurd proportions and weird angles. These are amazingly comfortable guitars, both sitting down and even more so standing up. But 3, there were some tuning issues with the aggressive angles that the strings take going through the nut down to the way that the headstock kind of points down. And I did have to tune quite a bit, and some of the big bends that I would make would throw some of the strings a little bit flat. So it didn't completely sour the experience, but it was one of those situations where I immediately realized, oh, I do believe that there is kind of a flaw here. And not to say that this is the best option that they could have gone with, but it does seem to address the problem. I gigged with this past weekend, and no tuning problems whatsoever. In fact, it was quite a bit better than the Tokai ever has been. So yeah, absolutely zero complaints in terms of just the overall stability of the instrument. Let's see, setup-wise, this guitar came with a phenomenal setup right out of the box, and I took this one by my luthier shop, and he got to play around with it. He loved it, and he noted that I believe these are Jescar frets. They're not stainless, but they're also not nickel. They're kind of this in-between metal that's, in terms of its hardness, it's not quite as hard as stainless steel, but it's stronger than nickel. So you will get a little bit more durability out of these. And also they're gold. They kind of have like this like goldish bronze type finish to it, which, I mean, if you consider the overall aesthetics of the guitar with the red, the black, and all the gold hardware, like the gold frets, man, they're just icing on that cake. So really cool that Gibson chose to do that on this guitar. The fretwork, amazing. All of the binding along the edge is just perfectly done. The action was super low, and just an awesome playing instrument right out of the case. Speaking of the case, I'll have to cut to some B footage of the case. It's literally the size of a door. It is huge. And I can almost fit the Strandberg in the extra space that this thing needs like cocked at that real aggressive angle going down into the case. So I thought that was kind of funny that the Strandberg could almost fit in there. But so if you're not familiar with this guitar is the signature Explorer Bird, I believe that they technically call it, of Lizzy Hale from Hailstorm. I think that she is probably the most talented female in rock music right now. I kind of liken her to like a female Dave Grohl type figure. Like, she's just unbelievably talented on stage, and she just kills it on every album. So I've been listening to these guys for a long time, and I know she's been a big Explorer woman for a long time, and I think that just the overall vibe of this, I love what they did to it. The paint is just, it pops and glows so hard, and this color along with the black and the gold, it just screams just no apologetic 70s and 80s metal. And this guitar absolutely delivers if you're playing that type of music. So today I'm going, let's see, the signal path is the guitar, into the Golden Boy, into the Nitro, into the Splawn 412, got a 421 and a 57 on a Scumback H75 speaker, into the interface, and let's see, I'll just go ahead and get started playing here just a little bit. I'm going to start here with the neck pickup. Now, the one thing about this guitar is comparing it to specifically the Tokai, two big slabs of mahogany, and this one in particular has a much more broad and muscular low end and lower mid range. This guitar is absolutely massive in its sound, and the sound matches the the overall massive physical stature of the instrument itself. And I think that some of that is probably to do with these 70s pickups that they've put in this thing. They're a little bit on the darker side, but they have just enough upper end to cut appropriately, but the lower mid-range and the low end is just so massive and big and huge, and it makes a amp that might not have a lot of low end, or maybe like a cabinet or something like that doesn't quite have a lot of low end punch. It really helps bring out a lot of grunt in that type of setup. Now, this amp has obscene amounts of low end grunt, so I've got the bass knob back around 9 o'clock, and that's still probably too much, but this thing sounds so good through the Nitro, and for the type of music that I believe that kind of like Lizzy plays and that I play, this guitar through just a ripping hard Marshall is just, it's a perfect combination. So we're gonna go ahead and get started here. All right, now I'm going to move over to the bridge pickup. right, I've got the guitar now in drop D tuning. We're gonna play around with it and we'll play a little heavier stuff. And I've also got the Golden Boy that I'm gonna kick on here in a minute, and it's in the green Tube Screamer style drive mode. And yeah, let's get going. All right, so those are some sounds from this guitar, and I must say, I have never felt the way that this guitar makes me feel when I'm playing it, and that there's no way to say that without it coming across as unbelievably cheesy and corny. But if you've ever had one of those experiences as a guitar player where you pick up an instrument and you just feel so inspired by the guitar, whether it's the way that it feels, the way that it plays, the way that it sounds, or the way that it looks, or a combination of those things. That's what this guitar has going for it that none of my other guitars have. Now, I love all the guitars that I have. They all play a certain way. They all sound a certain way. And I have kind of set them up to play the way that I want them to play and sound and all that stuff. But this guitar comes in. It just comes in like the Kool-Aid Man. I mean, I guess I got the color right. It comes in through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man and just knocks these other guitars down in the most spectacular way. And like I'm trying to verbalize kind of how I feel when I pick this thing up and start playing it. It doesn't hurt that the instrument is set up and plays so well. It plays just as good as my best ones over there. It doesn't hurt that it has a huge, massive, mean sound to it. And it also doesn't hurt that it looks as cool as it does. It's just got this combination of all these things going for it that make it a guitar that I just don't want to put down. And I've already gone through 2 sets of strings on this. I have literally played this thing at least a couple of hours every single day. And I've had this for about 2 or 3 weeks now, and I can't put it down. It is just an unbelievably inspiring instrument. And I say that knowing full well that it is lacking things that I routinely complain about guitars not having. There's no locking tuners. There's only 22 frets. There's a fixed bridge tailpiece. It's got a good toggle. You know, it's got the 3-way toggle that I really like, but it is kind of in an awkward position that I've gotten used to at this point because I've played it so much. But when I first was playing it, it was just in a weird place to kind of like, gotta like swoop out there for it to flip it one way or the other. And, you know, the pickups are voiced in a way that if you told me what these sounded like on paper, I would pass by them without second guessing and go for something a little snappier, brighter, punchier, clearer. But everything about this guitar, it's one of those things where like all sins are forgiven. It's that good. I love it that much that I have overlooked all of the shortcomings that I've kind of addressed with the rest of my instruments, just because of how I feel when I put this guitar on. And I know that the looks are very polarizing. It's not for everybody, and it's one of those things where I think if I didn't play live music, I don't know if this thing would resonate with me quite as much. But the fact that I'm up on stage with this and playing loud rock music, the reaction from the crowd seeing this instrument was awesome. And the way that it feels when you've got it, you know, down low. That's the other thing. Let me mention that real quick. This strap is too short for this guitar. I've got another anthology strap that is much longer, and it gets the guitar, you know, kind of, you know, it gets all nice slung low and cool looking. But that's the thing. It looks awesome when it's down there, kind of like how Slash plays and, you know, like how Lizzy plays these things. But it's still easy to play like that. The Les Paul, I can't play like that. I can't play my Schecter or the Charvel like that, and I certainly can't play the Strandberg like that. Those guitars are not comfortable guitars to play when they're, you know, slung down low. But the way that this, the angle of the neck and the positioning of it makes it still a very easy guitar to play when it's slung down low and angled up. And it's really comfortable. And like the neck, there's no neck dive at all. And I guess just the awkward shape of it helps alleviate that. So it's such a comfortable instrument when you're holding it. It's so well balanced. The fret access is good. The strap, right there, the strap, it stays out of the way. I don't intend to recommend a strap lock on this because it'll kind of jut out that much more and might get uncomfortable. But everything about it is comfortable and feels great. And again, it feels like I'm just lavishing over this instrument, but honestly, it's because it's one of the few guitars that I've gotten that, despite the shortcomings on paper, everything just comes together in such a meaningful way for me as a guitar player that is hands down has been my favorite guitar to pick up and play. That's kind of where I'm at with this thing. Do I wish it had 24 frets? Absolutely. Do I wish it had a tremolo? Yeah, FRX would fix that, but that's like a $400 bill you're looking at to get something like that put on there. Do I wish that it had locking tuners? Absolutely. If you get one of these, by all means, throw some locking tuners on there and make your life a little easier. So yeah, there's it's not without its faults, but as a package, when it all comes together, those are just so quickly out of sight and out of mind because of how this makes me feel as a musician. It's one of those guitars where it makes me feel like I'm having to live up to this thing's expectations as a player and as a rock star persona on stage. And as long as you're on stage and you're vibing with the instrument, whether it's this or anything else, it can exude those feelings from you as a musician, those emotions. And they're emotions that none of my other guitars have elicited from me on stage the way that this thing has. I know it's loud and boisterous and just over the top and all of those superlatives, but the spectacle of it is what makes it work on stage. It's what makes it feel like a great instrument, and it's what makes you as a musician feel, it's what makes you feel like a rock star. And this has got to be just the most, this has got to be the cheesiest and kind of the most awkward conversation in a review that I've had to have, but I feel like it's necessary because it truly has kind of made me feel a different way than any other instrument that I've ever picked up. And I've been playing since 93 or 94, and I've played a lot of guitars. I mean, even that other Carina Explorer that I played, it was a great guitar. I really liked it, other than the tuning problems, but it had like the natural Carina finish. It was, the quote-unquote old man vintage look. It did not look like this. And part of what sells this to me emotionally is the aesthetic, the bright red paint, the black and the gold. Everything just kind of solidifies together in a really amazing way for me. So, yeah, that's... Thanks for putting up with the soapbox theatrics with my whole rambling on here. But again, it's something that I felt like it was important to convey in the review because it's my honest opinion on the guitar. And hopefully that's why you guys all come to my channel, is for the honesty and the openness. I've pointed out the flaws in the guitar. It's a big guitar. You're hitting stuff all the time. You have to be careful because there's all this extra guitar back here. Can be like, it's almost like it's out of sight, out of mind until you like turn around and you smack something. It doesn't fit on my guitar stand. It's like it swoops around in a way that would put the neck really far into the wall. So I actually have a stand for it, and I'm actually going to do another video about that and a few other things. But it doesn't fit in the stand. It doesn't fit in my mono gig bag. The case for it is absolutely, it's like the size of a TV. It's huge. It's like comically large. It's our singer, who used to be our bass player, he said it's like maybe as big or if not bigger than his Firebird bass that he has. So yeah, it's a big, awkward shaped instrument that can it can present some physical challenges if you're in a tight space, especially like if you're on a tight stage. You're going to be like bumping into the drum kit and stuff like that. So it can be annoying from that perspective. And also just the looks can be polarizing. I get it if you're not into the Firebird headstock. For me, I think that it fits the overall design aesthetic of it. I know that the internet has made its voice quite clear that it's just either they love it or they hate it, and there seems like there's no in-between neutral ground on that argument. So I'm obviously in the camp of really liking it. Now, I think what they could have done is they could have done like maybe some. I know they couldn't have done like the kind of the cutout where the original had the banjo tuners, because that would probably not fit where these tuning pegs need to be. But like if they could have like maybe painted or shaded around here with the paint to make it look like that 3D, like the sculpted headstock that the original Firebirds and the Firebirds have. That would have been cool to see, but they didn't do that, so yeah, whatever. I think if I had to nitpick on the sound, I do think that the neck humbucker is missing maybe a little bit of the bite that I wish that it had. It's just a really big, thick, and meaty sounding neck pickup that it still has the articulation there if you need it, but I think if they could have shifted that low end just a slight bit away and pushed it more towards the top end, that would have been ideal. But the bridge pickup is just unbelievably good, and it sounds great in all of my amps. I played this thing with the Mesa Boogie, the Mark V 35 on stage, and it just crushed it, man. It sounded really good. I'm sure if you've clicked on the video, you're probably interested in it. If you didn't click on it, you probably have no interest in it whatsoever. Or maybe you just want to hear what I have to say about it. Either way, that's cool. I think it's an amazing guitar. And I think it might be one of those products where you might not realize how good it is until you actually try it. Because if I'm being 100% honest with you guys, this was one of the biggest gear curiosities that I had going into this partnership with Zzounds, was what was this guitar like? And it was one of those where, again, I couldn't envision myself spending a lot of money for this and just kind of messing around with it at the house if I was just a bedroom rocker. But when I got this thing and when I had it on stage, it completely transformed my mental outlook on this instrument and kind of what it's about as an instrument. So I will have the product page for this guitar for Zzounds in the video description. In the event that they do still have one or two in stock, if you're interested in checking this thing out, you can certainly feel free to use an affiliate link for that. It'll help me out a lot, and be greatly appreciated for the support there. If they don't have any in stock, then I would still recommend trying to find one. Even if it's not your highest priority, at least kind of keeping it on your radar, your music radar in your brain, to just give it a shot and see what you think. I was unbelievably surprised by this thing, and I'm really glad that I gave it a chance. So anyways, I will see you guys in the next video, and it's for, spoiler, it's for the other guitar with the non-reverse Firebird headstock. So yeah, look forward to that, and I'll catch you guys in that video. Take care. Bye.